We have more than 40 questions to get to in this Friday edition of Locked On Royals.
You are Locked On Royals, your daily Kansas City Royals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. As always, I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. That's JOHNYJ_15. And you can also find us on wherever you listen to podcasts. That can be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Odyssey, and YouTube. Just be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe. And for the first-time listeners, if you want to know more about me and this podcast, we bring you 5 episodes a week. I wanted to make sure I got to this point because last weekend, some of the newer listeners were wondering why we didn't have any post-game podcast. We just do Monday through Friday unless we miss one of those episodes during the week, and then we'll make it up over the weekend. So for this Baltimore series, if you're wondering why there's no podcast on Saturday or Sunday, that's because I have those 2 days off. Sometimes, depending on what's happening with the Royals, we may give you 6 or 7 episodes a week, but that's going to be very rare. Mostly, our schedule is going to consist of episodes Monday through Friday, with Friday being our mailbag segment, where any question you have about the Royals, please let me know. And I will say for today, it's the most questions we've ever had. I want to say we got up to about 45. I will probably not be able to get to every single question for the first time ever since doing this podcast. So if I miss your question, I've been trying to hammer this point in all week. Send it to me on Twitter. You can direct message me at JohnnyJ_15 or just comment below on this video with your question again. If you don't see it, if you don't hear my response, that's how I want you to go about it. But as for me, I'm based here in Kansas City. I work at Sports Radio 810 WHB, doing a variety of things over there. But when it comes to this podcast and when you click on this link, you know that you're going to be getting 30 straight minutes of Royals baseball. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off on your first purchase. Those terms apply. So again, download the Gametime app. What time is it? It is game time. With there being so many questions, let's jump right into it with question number 1 from Braden. Hey, Jack, great content as always. Got a mailbag question for you. With all the hype around torpedo bats and the improvements in pace of play, is there any rule that you would add or change as commish? Yes, very simple for me. I would get rid of the ghost rule. I think it's incredibly stupid that we still have the ghost runner rule now that we have the pitch clock. I don't mind the pitch clock. I know pitchers get upset by it, but it does set a good pace of play. I don't understand having the ghost runner rule anymore. I think it's incredibly stupid because the game very rarely went into 16, 17 innings. Most of those extra inning games were already ending in the 10th or the 11th. And if it's to protect your bullpen, I feel this is a part of the game that if you do go 16 or 17 innings, it's more so on your offense. But I'm ready to get rid of it. If we're going to take it away in the postseason and say, well, these games are the most important, these regular season games matter too. I understand both teams had the same opportunity. I'm just so sick and tired of seeing the ghost runner rule. If you want to meet in the middle, maybe the runner starts on first instead of on second. But do like the question there coming from Braden. The next one comes from Cole. Are you worried about Bobby Witt Jr., and do you think Garcia should be a full-time starter? Not worried in the slightest about Bobby Witt Jr. I'd imagine he'll get going at any point. This is an MVP-like player, and it hasn't been an incredibly slow start. It's more so been a slow start just for him. And as for Garcia, I feel that he needs to show that the consistency is there before I can put him as an everyday player again, because he was an everyday player last year. It just didn't really work out. So for him to take one of those spots again, I need to see the consistency. I need to see that, it's not just a flash in the pan from what we've seen in the first 6 games. But I'd imagine we'll see him out there tonight, starting either at third base or maybe he does get the start in center field. The next one here is going to be coming from Stormy. Hey, Jack, great work as always. My question is, who out of Renfroe, Isbell, or MJ would you expect to actually be a league average hitter? It's tough. Renfro's got the track record too. Melendez and Isbell do not, but Isbell and Melendez have the higher upside at this point in their career. I'd probably go Hunter Renfro just based off track record. It's a simple answer, but if you've done it before, I can expect you to do it again. If you haven't done it, I have nothing to go off of. So my pick would be Hunter Renfro to be that guy to be a league average hitter. George asks, when do we think the Royals stop moving guys around on defense and start having a consistent lineup? How can we expect anyone to get hot when they only play every other day at a different position? If you're one of those fans that wants them to have a set lineup, it's just not the way it's going to be. I mean, we saw this last year with Matt Quatrero, that they move guys around a lot. I believe it's a little bit of that Tampa Bay Rays influence because the Rays did that, where they would move a lot of guys around. They would get different guys in the lineup, and it's just the way they do things. And I don't believe the players mind it at all. I mean, yeah, you're learning a new position. It also gets you out there in the field every single day. I do feel, though, that once we get toward the middle portion of the season, we're going to see Jonathan India either at third base and left field pretty consistently. And as for center field, I believe the Royals will have an answer by that point. But I more so believe that Jonathan India is the one we're talking about because he has played left, he has played third, he hasn't played second yet. But I would say that, it's a lineup that's going to have a lot of guys in it every single day, or I should say a lot of different guys in it every single day. You'll have your regulars, but for the bottom portion of the lineup in the outfield, I don't believe there's going to be a set lineup until you've got three above average hitters in the outfield. The next one here is coming from Luke. Friday question, what is something that makes you excited about the 2025 Royals? I mean, you have the upside of having Bobby Witt Jr., a good rotation, and a better bullpen. If I was to pick one thing here, I'd say the bullpen. The bullpen reaching new heights would make me very excited because a lot of those games they let slip away last year could be locked down by this bullpen. As for one player, maybe the possibility of Jack Caglione getting to the big leagues. I mean, that's what I'm looking at right now. Maybe just how Jonathan India truly impacts this team. It's already been a pretty big impact through 6 games, but those are some of the things I would say that excite me about this team going into a weekend series against Baltimore. I believe that does it for everybody on YouTube. If I did miss any of those questions, please just follow up. There's a lot of notifications I have to go through, so sometimes your question may just disappear from my page right here. It doesn't mean I didn't want to get to it. I just need you to follow up. So respond to this video with your comment, and I'll try to answer it by tomorrow afternoon. If not, I will definitely get to it by Sunday afternoon. So jumping over to Twitter here to see what type of questions we have. Yeah, 41 to get to from YouTube. And we are going to kick things off here as I'm stalling with David's question. The way the offense has looked through the first week, in hindsight, would you have done the Harvey for Marte deal with the Mets? I don't know if I'm going to overreact just yet to the offense. It hasn't been good, but really hasn't been good for 3 out of the 6 games. It's 50%. I didn't think they were that bad on opening day. I did not think they were that bad in game 2. Game 3, they weren't very good. Got, stifled by Tanner Bybee. And then they scored 11 runs on Monday. It was bad on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll see what they look like over the weekend. However, Hunter Harvey's looked great so far. And I believe Hunter Harvey would give this team more value in the back end of the bullpen than a 36-year-old Starling Marte in the lineup. I believe that Mark Canha might give the Royals more value in that spot for much cheaper than Starling Marte would have been. Boz Naz's question, is there any real chance Melendez gets sent down to AAA? I got this question that I answered on Twitter earlier this week. I want to say Melendez is out of options. I'm not 100% sure on that. If he is out of options, then no, I give it a 0% chance that he is sent down. It would maybe just be a situation where they put him on the bench and use him as the 4th outfielder. If he does have options, it would have to get really bad, in my opinion. I know it's not going to be the most popular answer among fans. It just would have to get to a point of not being playable at all whatsoever. Like, he is completely lost. He is mentally screwed up, and he's just not getting anything going. The Royals are going to have a little bit longer of a leash on him than I imagine with the other 2 guys because he does possess that power. But I would say there's a chance, assuming he does have that one option, it would just have to get really bad, in my opinion. Casey Crane asks, who loses their starting job when Jack comes up? I would imagine it would be in right field, so my pick would be Hunter Renfroe. Gary's question is, so I wasn't around for the 80s, but I have heard many stories and read the Pine Tar game. Was curious if you would still consider the Yankees a rival. I don't believe so. The Yankees are disliked by everybody just because they're that brand. They are the New York Yankees. They are the evil empire. I'm one of those fans, though, that believes for a rivalry to happen, both sides have to agree that it's a rivalry. And in the 80s and the 70s, absolutely was a rivalry. The Royals would need to be that perennial contender in the American League, I believe, for the Yankees to consider them a rival. So as of right now, I would say no. It's nowhere as close to the rivalry they had back in the 70s and the 80s. Okay, let's take our first break of the show. When we come back, still a lot of questions to get to next on Locked On Royals. You are tuned into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. Want to give a shout out to our first sponsor today in Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. That's Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off on your first order. That is supplyhouse.com. Our second sponsor we want to tell you about is Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients is also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and his recovery. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB, that's LOCKEDONMLB, for 20% off. And for wellness tips, follow at Just Ingredients on Instagram. Again, that's at Just Ingredients on Instagram. Get started today with Just Ingredients. The next question we get to open up segment number 2 comes from Royals, Jayhawks, and Steelers country. Lots of teams involved there. What would be the earliest you could see a AAA outfielder be called up, and who would you expect it to be? My first pick would be Joey Wiemer, just because I believe he was really close to making the roster. I'd even put him above Drew Waters, who's had a fantastic start to the AAA season. Also happened last year, which is why I'm siding with Joey Wiemer. And earliest I could see is May. If Kyle Isbell or MJ Melendez or Hunter Renfroe just aren't cutting it, I would guess that they would give, Joey Wiemer a shot there. So he would be my pick, and I would say by May is the earliest you would see it, unless there would be an injury. Levi asks, the outfield bats are brutal. Do you see Drew Waters being called up this month? I really do see the upside that Drew Waters has as a, I don't want to call him a 4A player, but it's kind of been his time in Kansas City. He's never really stuck at the big leagues, but he hits really well in AAA. So you have that upside of, hey, maybe he does catch on for a few weeks or so, and that's what you ask for out of a 4A player. I don't see it being that likely, mainly because Drew Waters was doing this last year, and the outfield was brutal last year for the entire year, and the Royals still never gave him a shot. If there's an injury, then yes, I could see that happening. But as for just playing his way onto the roster, I'm still at a no, unfortunately, for the Drew Waters fans out there. I do think he gets to Kansas City in some capacity this year. I just don't know if he sticks. Slack Dorsey also asks about Drew Waters. When is he coming back to the bigs? That's a tough timeline. Even if he's hitting, there's no guarantee it's going to translate to the big league level. And there's no guarantee just because the outfield is struggling that he's going to be the option. As I said, I'd imagine he gets up at least one time this year. I'll just push it off for now and say later this summer. Jacob's question is, what is your favorite Rex Hudler one-liner? Pilot to Bombardier's pretty funny. No, I would say you can't sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry rat would be my favorite HUD quote. There's a lot of them out there. Definitely let us know in the YouTube comments below what your favorite one-liner is from Rex. Brother Cag's question is, I've listened to the podcast for a while. Love the take and work you do. Appreciate that. I was wondering who's the next top 20 prospect we could see playing for us at the K this year. Gavin Cross is a name I would like there. Jack Caglione, of course. I would say Luinder Avila has a very good chance. Steven Zobak, Eric Sarantola, a couple of those guys. I'll give you 5 right there that I believe do have a good chance of pitching or playing the outfield in Kansas City this year. Jason asks, serious timeline on Cags being called up. My pick or my hot take was June. If I was to give a more realistic approach, I would say second half and maybe closer to August. Just due to the fact I don't see the Royals rushing him. I believe they are truly going to take their time with him, and they are not going to force him up there after 30 games or so. If he is hitting close to 500, maybe you have no choice. My realistic pick, though, would be maybe August instead of June. Jambo asks, I can't handle another game of Melendez, Renfroe, or Biggio in the lineup. Is there a therapist available for me? I understand on the first two. I go back to this point. No, Kevin Biggio is not a superstar by any means. I just haven't been that disappointed with Kevin Biggio in the lineup. I thought he had a good game on would have been Wednesday, had the first RBI of the game for Kansas City. He plays multiple positions. I don't see him in the same way I viewed Adam Frazier or Garrett Hampson. As for the other two, I get it. They've struggled the last few years, and Kevin Biggio is a utility guy, so I understand why those guys are going to get the most heat. But I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know any sports therapist out there that can help you through your Royals struggles there. But don't mind the question at all, Jambo. Amber's question, something that drove me nuts last year was how much they fiddle with the lineup outside of the core 3. Is there a benefit to allowing a player to get used to their position? It seems to stifle a player getting hot. I would say with a younger player, maybe. With a guy like Jonathan India, no. These guys are professionals. They know that it's a part of the game, learning a new position, and that's what they've expected in coming over to Kansas City. I mean, Jonathan India knew very early on he was going to have to learn multiple positions, and I don't believe it's going to affect him at the plate. If you have a rookie coming up and you're having to move him around, we saw it with MJ Melendez. He went from catcher to right field to left field. It screwed him up a little bit. It's just the way the Royals do things now. They like guys playing multiple positions so they can really be flexible with their lineup. Royals Loyal says, why don't we use the torpedo bat? It's up to the player. I mean, I don't believe it's the Royals saying they can't do it. I mean, it really comes down to a player wanting the torpedo bat or not wanting the torpedo bat. So my guess is none of the guys in the lineup want to use it or feel comfortable using it. However, I wouldn't rule it out that maybe at some point this year, somebody does try the torpedo bat. Laurel's question, MJ, what is the plan with him? The plan is to keep him in the lineup every other day until hopefully he catches on. And if he doesn't, this is the big leagues. It's a business of winning. And if you can't contribute at the highest of levels, you're not going to play every single day. And the Royals are going to be a contender this year or trying to be a contender. They can't have well below average play from a corner outfield spot, especially not 2 of them. Bobby Wood Jr. for President's question is, do you think this is a Michael breakout season or is this the peak for the year? I mean, I've always thought that for how hard he hits the ball, and maybe you buy into it, maybe you don't, how hard you hit the ball does factor into my belief of if you can have a breakout season. And Michael Garcia, despite his size, hits the ball incredibly hard. If he's a line drive hitter and he's having that swing that goes to right field, I do expect it to be a breakout season. What you don't want to see is what happened last year. He hit a home run on the opening day, his first at bat of the season, and then he was trying to hit home runs the rest of the year. If he can have that approach he had in 2023, I do expect it to be a breakout year for him. Nick's question, do you see Biggio getting this much time on the field? No. I will say that he's getting a lot of playing time because Vinny's not playing first base just yet. We'll see what the lineup looks like tonight, but once Vinny's back there at first base, there's not really a spot for Kevin Biggio to play. I still expect him to get in at least once a series, but not playing 2 or 3 times in a series. Once Vinny's back there at first, I would imagine that Jonathan India is in left field, Michael's at third, or India's at third, and then you could have Mark Canna in left or Melendez in left. I don't believe we're going to see this much of Kevin Biggio throughout the season. Cody's question, since no Royals since George Brett has hit for the cycle, can we count Drew Waters' cycle on Tuesday? Not quite for me. It was impressive, though, and he's had a hell of a start to begin the season in Omaha. Eli asks, how detrimental is it to MJ's development, confidence that the guys he came up with, like Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny, Massey, Garcia, to the extent, are all thriving in the majors while he is getting passed up? Does it make him try and force the action at the plate to prove his worth? I'm not sure it's that. I mean, baseball is a very mental game, but MJ's not basing his confidence based on what other guys around him are doing. And being in the clubhouse a handful of times, that you can tell these guys love MJ and they want it to work so badly for him. Sometimes it just doesn't. To me, it's one of those things in baseball where you either develop properly or you don't. It's a very competitive level, as we all know. And yes, I'm sure confidence plays a part in it. And when you're struggling, it's hard to be confident. He is somebody, though, that absolutely is loved by all of his teammates, it appears, and they want him to do well. And I'm not sure he's looking at them and saying, well, I need to be as good as them. He just needs to be the best version of MJ Melendez and see where that takes him. Let's get to one more here before our break. Aiden asked, how would you feel in early August of an outfield of Taylor Ward in left, Garcia in center, and Jack Caglione in right? And if this happens, how much does it change the team and lineup? I believe it would change it a lot. We'll see what Taylor Ward looks like at the deadline. But to have him in left, and if Garcia can play center and Jack Caglione becomes the hitter we expect him to be, that becomes an absolute game changer for this lineup. You've got maybe some of the best power in the game in right field, a consistent hitter in left, and a center fielder that has good upside there. That would be a night and day difference to what we see right now every single day in the outfield in Kansas City. Okay, we're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll wrap it up rapid fire with our final set of questions next on Locked On Royals. You are tuned into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find us on wherever you get your podcasts. That can be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Odyssey, and YouTube. Just be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe. Our final sponsor we want to let you know about is also our title sponsor in Gametime. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, maybe that's tonight, though it is bad weather here in Kansas City, Gametime is going to make it easier than ever for you. With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the stress out of buying tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as Gametime gets closer, which for tonight, that is 6:40 p.m. Central Time, meaning you can score an incredible deal right before first pitch. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off on your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Our final set of questions begins with Frank. Would the Royals be interested in Wilyer Abreu? If so, what would a package look like? I had wondered if the Royals were interested in Wilyer Abreu or Yoshida over in Boston this offseason, mainly because of their abilities at the plate and also playing a corner outfield spot. What it would come down to is where's Boston at? Boston caught a little bit of fire in the final two games of their series against the Orioles, who now will come to Kansas City. But if the Red Sox are in it, they're not trading Wilyer Abreu. And if they are to trade him, it's going to take a lot considering what he can be in right field. He's got a tremendous arm, and I also believe could really be a nice piece for this lineup. But he's young, and he's got years of control. And if they're going to give up a guy with years of control, you know what they're going to want? A couple of young prospects with multiple years of control, or maybe somebody for that starting rotation because the Red Sox can't seem to stay healthy. So it would take a lot. Maybe it would be a swap of like Bubic and Wilyer Abreu, which I know the Royals just wouldn't be too high on. So I wouldn't count on it just because Abreu's so young over there in Boston. Mike asks, is there more to the ending of Jordan Lyles' career, or KC career, I should say, than fans have been told? Scott Sharp's final comments on Lyles really make me think there's a lot more to the story. I haven't had the chance to see Scott Sharp's comments yet, so I'll go back this weekend and read those or listen to those. I can tell you this, though. They were so close-lipped about it, and I don't mind it just because it seemed to be very, very personal. And to me, there is a line of we really need to know what's going on. And sometimes just going, look, he needs to take care of whatever it is off the field, and it's just not our business. And Jordan Lyles, maybe it is different if it's somebody that is number one in your rotation or the number one player on your team. You do need to know what's going on here. But Lyles, he had barely made the roster, and it almost made it easier for the Royals to keep that under wraps of he's going to be gone for a while. We're not going to know anything more than that. But to be honest with you, I don't know anything. It's been so tight-lipped, and I'm not sure we'll ever know unless Jordan Lyles does open up a bit about it. But it hasn't been for a lack of trying. I know a couple of the beat reporters in Kansas City did continue to follow up, and the Royals just wouldn't give much. But hopefully there is more great things to come for him. I know it didn't work out in Kansas City, but you always hope the best for somebody. And if it becomes public, I hope it's from the mouth of Jordan Lyles and not somebody leaking it. Matt's question, are you buying into Garcia's hot start? Yeah, I touched on this a little bit. If you hit the ball hard enough, you might be able to have that breakout year. I do believe there's a little bit of a difference. The stance is working for him, unlike some of the other batting stance changes we've seen on the Royals. So I'm not completely buying in just yet. I have to see more, considering he did start the year well last year. But 6 games is just not a big enough sample size for me. Ken G asked, with the Royals having some pretty exciting prospects, where do you see them slotting in the Royals lineup in the future? How different would the team look in 3 years? Yeah, it's a ways down the road, but I would imagine that Caglione, Mitchell, and Jensen are all in there. Either Mitchell or Jensen's going to be the catcher. My pick would be Blake Mitchell. Jack Caglione, I imagine, will be the first baseman on this team, and Carter Jensen will probably have had to have learned a corner outfield spot there. But that's a lot of time, though, and you never know what the first-round pick this year might do. But I do agree that farm system's getting better, and that's a great sign for the Royals because they desperately needed to reload that farm system. The next one here comes from Jeff. Is the season over? Just kidding. If the outfield continues to struggle and Jack or Gavin do good in the minors, how long before either one is called up? If they're doing really good, my pick is June. If they're doing good and they're just improving each and every week, I would probably slot them closer to July and August. Gavin Cross has a better chance to come up quicker than Jack Caglione, just because Gavin Cross has been in the minor league system now since 2022. This is Jack's first full go at it at the professional level. And I mean that for start to finish in a professional season. He did have some experience in Quad Cities last year, but it was after his college season. So Gavin Cross has a better chance to get up quicker than Jack. But if both of them are playing well, I would say June. If they're playing just good, I would go closer to August for that point. Sparky, could we see Waters this season? Yeah, I would say sometime in the summer due to maybe outfield struggles and injuries maybe happening. But as for just playing himself onto the roster, I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, just because he hit this well to begin last year and the Royals didn't really give him an opportunity. Bryce asked, I know most lineups 5 through 9 aren't all like the Dodgers. I don't expect that, but my fear is that this could be what holds them back this year. Help talk me off the ledge because I don't have faith in any of them. Maybe Garcia, but that's a maybe still. I would say that last year they were able to do it with a very below average outfield. If you want me to talk you off the ledge, here's a great point I might be able to give you. If this outfield is struggling, unlike last year, they will make changes. They're not going to let this outfield perform like this for an entire season. Because whereas last year you were hopeful to make the playoffs and try to make a run and have the Cinderella story, this year it's different. If guys aren't cutting it, they're not going to stay in this lineup. You're not looking to just shoot for the playoffs. You're looking to make a deep run into the playoffs this time and represent the American League at the World Series. Sounds crazy to a lot of people outside of Kansas City. That's the goal, though. And that should be what keeps you excited. If the Royals can turn things around with their lineup, and they are multiple games over 500, they are going to make moves to improve this roster because they know this outfield has to be better if they're going to knock off somebody in October. Danny asked, do you think we will see more consistent lineups, or will it continue to be a platoon approach in the outfield at third base as the season progresses? I'd imagine we'll see more stability. Right now it's different because Vinny's not playing first base. I'd imagine Jonathan India will play either third or left the majority of the time. Right now they're trying to see where he sticks. We won't see as much mixing and matching as we are right now. Once you get things going, once the offense catches fire, then you know who to put who where, who's going to fit best in certain spots. And the Royals aren't going to be making any definitive answers to that or any definitive picks 6 games in. They're going to wait a little bit longer than that. Ballistic Boobich asked, if the outfield continues to struggle, would you have any interest in Evan Carter? He got sent down to AAA to start the year, and it seems like an odd man out in Texas. Might be a little bit more expensive than other options, but he could have more upside. Yeah, I like Evan Carter a lot, and I thought he was going to be an absolute star after what he did in the 2023 postseason. Just don't think Texas is ready to give up on him. I'd imagine they still have him a part of their future, and I would expect to see him in Arlington pretty soon now. So I like the idea. I just don't see a world in which the Royals would be able to target him and him be in their price range. Jared's question, at what point are we getting Nick Lofton to Kansas City? It would have to be due to Kevin Biggio completely falling off, not giving the Royals anything, and then you go with somebody else like Nick Lofton, because I believe he lost that job to Kevin Biggio, or Mark Canha gets banged up or just isn't hitting that well. Then I would guess we would see Nick Lofton. Carson asked, what are the odds we get some torpedo bats, and who would use those bats if so? Also, are you able to watch live afternoon games when you produce on ESPN Wichita 92.3? Yes, I do have a little TV in that studio, so every time they're on, I am able to watch them during the day. And as for the torpedo bats, I would say it's a low chance right now just because they haven't said anything about it. But if they were to use it, look for guys like Melendez, Renfroe. I wouldn't see Isbel doing it. But the guys that want to have more thump in the sweet spot of the bat, those would be my two picks for guys to use the torpedo bats. But we haven't heard anything on it yet, so I still give it a pretty low chance. This one is from Tom. Are the balls juiced again? No, I don't believe so. I know there's been a lot of home runs. Some of that's the torpedo bat. Some of it's due to really bad pitching so far to begin the year. But no, I don't believe that the balls are juiced. Jerry asked, I'm still not a fan of the runner at second base and the extra innings rule. Neither am I. Do you think it should stay in place or be changed? Easy one for me. Get that the hell out of baseball. I don't need to see it anymore. I do not care to speed up the game in extra innings. It's not just because the Royals are 0-2 in ghost runner rule games this year. It's that I hate it, and I've always hated it from the beginning. Enzo's question, on the bright side, we are tied for the division lead with Lugo on the bump today. How badly do we need a quality start from him or better? Absolutely, we need a quality start. You want to make sure you get off on the right foot in a 3-game series, and if Lugo can give him 6, 3 runs or less, I like the bullpen with a full day of rest to lock things down, assuming the lineup can get more than 2 runs across and keep that Baltimore lineup in check to close out the game. But they badly need one. They need a starter to work deep into the game, and it's got to be somebody other than Chris Bubich and the second time through the rotation. Last calls question, division all 2-4 now. Well, now the Twins are 2-5. It already feels like this division, it feels like it's division or bust this year. Does 85 games win the Central? I just can't get too caught up 6 games in what the records look like here. It's not been a great start for the Central. 85 feels too low to me. I still think that 90 wins does it. But I can't put too much into 6 games here. I don't believe that the Twins are this bad. I don't believe the White Sox are going to hang around like this. I don't believe Cleveland's this bad, and I don't believe Detroit's this bad, nor Kansas City. It's going to be a close division again, but it's not going to be a 85-win team winning this division, at least my opinion. Maybe ask me again at the middle part of the season. RJ Webb asked, defense is normally our strong point, most of the bats and pitching. I'm not concerned about a slow start, but does our poor defense concern you at this point? Not yet. I want to see Jonathan India get comfortable somewhere. Maybe Michael Garcia learn center field a bit more. But right now, I'm not overly concerned. Didn't feel that the defense was that good to start the year last year. It just takes a little bit to get into the rhythm. But the Royals have always been one of the better defensive teams, even in the down years. I expect that to be the same this year. Jason asked, if Alec Marsh comes back and is looking good, do you think he goes to the bullpen and someone gets released? Or do you think he goes to Omaha for a while? I would say he goes to the bullpen unless there's a spot open in the rotation. Right now, I don't expect that to be. So I would expect him taking Chris Stratton's spot if he's struggling and Alec Marsh is pitching well in Omaha. The Bamford Files ask, how much longer does MJ legitimately have in the big leagues before management starts to lose credibility for keeping him there? Like I said, it has to be really bad for him just to be cut because he's a young player, years of control. Worst case, I feel you can just put him on the bench and use him as a pinch hitter late in games just to have that little pop off the bench there. To play him every single day, I mean, he'd have to be hitting sub 200 for the entire month. If he's doing that, I don't see him starting every single day. And right now, the Royals aren't playing him every single day. But we do need to see more from him going into this series against Baltimore. JC Retro Athletics question is, regardless of how he's hitting, I've always wondered, could MJ have made it it made it as a third baseman instead of an outfielder after his catcher transition. They tried him at third base for a little bit in Omaha. It just didn't work out. They like the athleticism. He can move a little bit. I feel it would have been the same at the plate if he was a third baseman or a corner outfielder. And lastly, Royals, please win. Ask how much longer is the leash on MJ. Yeah, a couple questions on MJ today. Don't mind it at all. I do feel that his leash, if he's hitting sub 200 after the first month, will be very tight. He won't play very often. And if he's not going by the end of May, I don't see how you could make a case to keep him on the roster anymore, even as the fourth outfielder. All right, that's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been your host, Jack Johnson. Again, a big reminder here, if I missed any of those questions, the 40 plus we just answered, please just respond in the comments below. It's never intentional to miss your questions. Sometimes they just slip by with all the ones I have right in front of me. But you can either direct message me on Twitter at JohnnyJ_15, or you can just leave a comment below on this YouTube page. Tomorrow, we're not going to have any episode unless there's a random trade or something like that, any breaking news. Nothing on Sunday. Yeah, for you new listeners, we're off Saturday and Sunday, but we will be back on Monday to recap this Orioles series and look ahead to the upcoming series against the Minnesota Twins. But until then, you take it easy, Kansas City.